Hello and welcome to my 2020 Cash Club pitch, or what type of car would certain stocks be? Now, today we're asking ourselves the question we all want to know. What type of car is the company Vulcan Materials? We can get a good idea of this from looking at the stock. Now, Vulcan Materials is one of the biggest material companies in the United States. Here's my favorite fact about the company as a whole, and that is that VMC is the leading U.S. supplier of aggregates as well as a supplier of concrete, asphalt, and calcium. This means that VMC has multiple streams of revenue. It's a leading player in the infrastructure industry, and because of its forays into calcium and limestone, it also has some revenue coming in from chemical and agricultural industries. Now, in car terms, because of the multiple streams of revenue, the car would have to come from a manufacturer with multiple types of cars. Supercars, sedans, trucks, and whatnot. Perhaps a Chevy. Chevy is American, just like Vulcan Materials, so let's go with that. Now, why VMC is currently my favorite stock, and most likely my favorite car. Now, VMC is already a great company in the infrastructure industry. Their long-term uptrend shows that they're a reliable growth stock. However, thanks to Biden's infrastructure plan, $3 trillion are coming into the industry to help America. Since Vulcan Materials are such a large player in the industry, and since they supply many of the materials needed to complete this project, I believe Vulcan Materials to be a worthwhile investment. Now let's look at their ratios. As the infrastructure industry is a very capital intensive and requires many resources, the ratios provided are actually quite good compared to other industry leaders. In addition, with the PEG ratio of 2.06, they are overvalued, but not as much as other companies in the industry, with Martin Marietta having a PEG ratio of 3.16. However, even with the PEG ratio above 1, the stock price rising is justified because the RSI shows the value is not overbought. Their average company growth is also 17% compared to other industries. The other company in the industry is 13%. Now, with great ratios like that, they're definitely a satisfactory stock. So let's look at the most satisfactory cars. We've already deduced that VMC is most likely a Chevy. So the top 3 rated Chevrolet models are the Chevy Bolt, Corvette, my favorite, and the Colorado. Now let's take a look at the risk of VMC. It's an important factor of any company you invest in. Since the ratios and growth are so much better than any other company in the industry, as well as their coefficient of variation being below average, they truly do not have much risk involved with them compared to their competitors. I've already established that VMC is a great long-term investment. With their upward trend, they are sure to grow on their own, and with Biden stimulating the economy, I believe they are bound to generate some serious revenue at low risk to the investor. So, what does risk of investment translate into when you're thinking about cars? Safety, of course. Now, unfortunately for the Corvette, safety was not the feature they had in mind when manufacturing it. That means we're down to 2 cars, the Bolt and the Colorado. Finally, we'll look at the SWAT chart of Vulcan. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. For strengths, they have multiple sources of revenue. I've already said they supply aggregates, concrete, asphalt, and calcium. So they are a big player in multiple different types of infrastructure. Now they do have high average growth. Like I said before, their average company growth is 17.4%, higher than the industry's 13%. They also have a strong free cash flow and a debt-to-equity ratio of 60.08. Their debt-to-equity ratio means they're a very well-leveraged company. Now, they also have a large distribution network. With over 400 facilities producing product across the U.S., you can be sure that Vulcan will be working on projects coast to coast. They do have some weaknesses. They haven't had as much success in other areas. While they are a big player in infrastructure, their agricultural and chemical forays leave much to be desired. They're also not highly successful at integrating firms of different work cultures. Vulcan has an aggressive work culture called the Vulcan Way. It's a very success-driven culture, and it has led to some disruptiveness when it comes to integrating firms. Some great opportunities they have is their new online platform, as well as their $3 trillion infrastructure bill coming in. Now, Vulcan has recently invested heavily into their online platform, hopefully opening themselves up to new consumers and areas of revenue. And because of Biden's bill, Vulcan Materials can be relied on to provide most of the aggregates needed for the project, as well as a large portion of other construction materials, possibly shooting up the company's revenues for the foreseeable future. Now, they do have some threats, that being intense competition and rising material prices. But companies in the infrastructure industry are always heavily competitive. and they're always vying for the next job. However, with the influx of money coming into the industry, I do not think this will be a problem for the foreseeable future. And as always, rising material costs are a problem for each and every industry. Just look at the rising gas prices. However, as each competitor is also doing this, I wouldn't say it's too big of an issue. So, how can we translate all that into car terms? Well, there's always rising gas prices and intense competition between cars, so we can knock off threats from the board. In addition, Chevy shares the same online platform. As two Chevy cars, they also share much of the same strengths and weaknesses. However, there is one aspect these cars do not share: their large distribution network. Electric cars are bought mainly by those who want to save money on gas and care about the environment, that being the Chevy Bolt. However, every man, woman, teenage boy, and redneck wants a cool truck to go mudding in. That means the car Vulcan Materials is most likely to be is a Chevy Colorado. Both the company and car are sure to be a great investment for you. For a stock with a great uptrend, VMC is sure to be a great long-term stock. And for such a reliable truck, you'll be able to drive it for years. That's all for the presentation. Thank you, and good night.